Welcome to War Room Sports TV. War Room Sports is brought to you by Audible.com. Download a free audiobook of your choice by going to audibletrial.com/War Room Sports.
Calm down. Let me bring our guest on real quick. For those who don't know, he is the current 76ers color commentator, former San Antonio Spurs, New York Knicks, NBA champion, Philadelphia basketball legend. And according to our chat room, he glitches on Madden on the PS3. I'd like to welcome to the War Room, Malik Rose. Malik, what's going on?
I ain't nothing happening, man. How you guys doing?
I just want to know that 4G the King is in our chat room, and he's already started. He's trying to figure out. He said to tell you that he knows you got cheat codes on Madden. So,
man, 4G, that's my man, but he needs to step his game up big time.
Oh! Yo, let's get right into the questions. We're all of us. There's 5 of us on this round table. We're all from Philadelphia, so we're familiar with you going back to even Overbrook. But let's take it back to draft day. When you were selected in the first round by the Hornets, how did it feel to be drafted and be only the second player from Drexel to ever get into the NBA?
Man, that was a funny day because I went to the draft. It was in New Jersey at the Continental Airlines Arena or whatever back then, and I knew I wasn't going to be drafted in the first round. But my mother, she was thirsty, man. She was so excited, so she wanted to go, and she thought I'd be able to go down on the podium and stuff, and I wasn't. I was drafted in the second round, 44th pick. And the hard part about it was sitting there listening to all the guys that I had dropped numbers on get drafted ahead of me, and I was just frustrated and angry. And then when they finally called my name, I just got up and left. It was weird.
Yeah.
Who were some of those guys that you dropped those numbers on?
Oh, here you go.
Well, no, it was a few guys, but like when I was at Drexel, man, we had a real good team. I had some great teammates, man. My man Jeff Myers from Southern High, he was my dog, and man, we ran through the whole, conference, division, basically anybody we played. Like my senior year, we were 27-4, so I mean we beat a lot of different teams, and even the teams that we lost to.
Memphis and the
tournament? Yeah, Memphis. So I saw all those guys get called ahead of me, and I wasn't happy. So when they finally called my name, I was like, I couldn't do anything. I was just like, okay, finally I walked out and waited for the team to call me.
I mean, 2 rings later, you probably got the last laugh on most of them. But Malik, what's up, man?
Yeah.
This is Dev. We spoke earlier. I just wanted to ask you, when you were traded to the Spurs in '97, we all know you had the opportunity to play with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but how much did you get to learn from David Robinson while he was still around, and how was it playing with him and, another future Hall of Famer, Tim Duncan, for all those years?
Man, it was a blessing, man, a big blessing in disguise. Big fella Dave, y'all gonna laugh, but Dave really didn't work. I mean, he worked out, but you would think to get muscles like he had or the body he had, pause, and I know y'all all on that, but you would think he would live in a weight room, but he didn't. He worked out, in different ways. He wasn't throwing up a whole bunch of weights, but one of the biggest lessons both Tim and myself got from him, it was Tim's rookie year, my second year in the league, and after a game, we got finished. We're about to go to dinner, me and Tim, and we walked past the weight room, and we see Dave in there working out. And this after a game after he dropped 30 and 15. So we like, damn, the best player in the league after he dropped 30 and 15 is in the weight room working out. What the hell? Why are we leaving? So we just looked at each other, turned back around, went in the locker room, changed, and went in the weight room and stayed in there working out until Dave left. So that was like one of my best lessons from working with the big fella. Just you always got to work. This guy's, one of the 50 greatest of all time, and after a game in which he dominated, he was still working out. So I think that lesson is what helped me stay in the league for as long as I did.
Yeah, so that probably helps you turn into a hard worker. I ain't gonna front. I probably would have went to dinner, but that's just me.
So Malik, most athletes dream of winning a championship in their particular sport. You happen to be fortunate enough to do that twice. So, like, how does it feel to win an NBA championship? And was the second time just as sweet as the first?
Well, man, winning is like it's like the culmination of like all your hard work. It's like why you run out there. Like I was in San Antonio in the summertime, so you know it's 1,000 degrees down there. And you got to get out on the track and run and do your sprints. And when you win the championship, it's like that's why you say to yourself, you know, that's why I was killing myself in the gym, shooting 1,000 free throws a day, yada yada yada. And it's like it's almost like a big exhale, and you see why you put in all that hard work so you can have that feeling again. It's the best feeling in the world. The first time we won it, I partied like I was averaging 30 and 50, man. I mean, you couldn't tell me I wasn't a man, and I was only averaging about 15, 20 minutes a game. But the second time we won it, though, I had a much larger role, and I had some big games and, you know, some highlight moments and stuff. So the second time was more special to me because I had a more prominent role. But, you know, some of the guys don't even get a chance to win one ring, and I was blessed to be able to win two, man. I'm just really thankful for it.
Sure. Malik, this is B. Austin. Good brother. Thank you. We appreciate you. When you were traded to the Knicks, I guess much to the chagrin of Spurs fans, how did it feel to have to leave a great organization such as the Spurs and then to go on to the Knicks? And was there any love lost or bad blood with the Spurs organizations due to that transaction?
Man, that was probably one of the three toughest moments of my life, man. You know, I'd always heard the rumors that I could have been traded, you know, because my problem was Manu and Tony were coming up after me, and Rasho Nesterovic and myself were making a little bit of paper, and the Spurs aren't like, you know, the Knicks, so they had to let one of us go or get rid of one of us so they could pay Tony and Manu. So, you know, I guess, I don't know, unfortunately I was a little bit more valuable than Nesterovic in the NBA, and they traded me, but it was just like a terrible feeling, man. Culture shock. It's almost like getting ripped up out of everything you know and sent to a new place. I always, you know, I joke and laugh, but honestly, I went from being the sixth man on the team that was winning 55 to 60 games a year to being the 12th man on the team that was losing 55, 60 games a year, like in a snap of your fingers, man. I don't really understand what happened, but I just got traded, and it was just a terrible moment.
Wow.
Okay. Hey,
there was no
Malik,
real love loss either. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I wanted to finish the question. There was no real, love loss. I didn't really, hate those guys, but what really, poured salt in the wounds was, 7 weeks later. I got traded at the deadline, which was, almost the end of February. And then, April came, March, and May. April, May, and June or whatever, and they won the championship that year. That was 2005 when they beat Detroit in the championship.
Yeah, that sure was.
So I was yeah, I was salty, man, because I could have got another ring, man.
Man, yeah, that is.
I know you would.
Yeah, it's all good though. It's all right.
Hey, Malik, this is Akil. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I just wanted to say, once your stints with the Knicks and the Thunder were done, how did you get into broadcasting, and was that always a plan of yours when you were playing in the NBA?
Actually, my ultimate goal is I'm going to be a GM of my own franchise. I want to run my own franchise, and most of them stay around. You can't just retire and go into the GM role unless you're Joe Dumars. But I just kind of like sport. I like basketball and I like talking about it. So I figured, while I'm working towards being a general manager, I could broadcast. So I went to the Players Union and the NBA. They had this program every year where you could intern or go up to Syracuse, which is a big-time broadcasting school. So I went to Syracuse for a couple weeks out the summer and learned from some of the ESPN guys, got some reps behind the camera and the microphone, and I put a tape together. And then afterwards, I interviewed with the Sixers the first time. I didn't get the job. They gave it to Snow. And then that year I did part-time work with the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Knicks, just to stay, get my reps and everything. And then this year the job became open, and I interviewed again, and I got it.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, you were doing pregame with the Knicks, right?
Yeah, it's called. I was doing studio work. That's what like Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet, and them do. So I was doing pregame, halftime, postgame with the Knicks and the Thunder, and then I did like the rodeo road trip and like 6 other games, play by play. What I'm doing now for the Spurs last year.
Okay, you weren't actually live to sit there next to Clyde Frazier and see.
No, they weren't gonna give him Clyde's job. His vocabulary.
I'm talking about.
it was some tough jobs, man. I mean, some tough places. I wasn't going to get Clyde's job, and in Oklahoma City, I don't know if you brothers remember Grant Long. He's had that job for a while. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he definitely is. Yeah. You kind of answered my next question.
Is so funny, man.
Yeah, Clyde's is funny because my next question was actually was the Sixers part of your plan? Did you always go along with that job?
No, actually, it's weird how that came, man. They say God works in mysterious ways. Like, I always hold the Spurs near and dear to my heart, but I've been retired for 2 years, and I've been trying to get on in the front office, and it just hasn't happened there. It hasn't happened there, and they've hired some other people. So, with that happening, I was looking to move back east. I was looking to move back either Maryland, D.C., Philly, Jersey, or New York. I just wanted to get back on the East Coast. San Antonio's great, but I was just getting tired of it. But when that happened, I finally made the decision to move back here. My man Zoo called me and said, it doesn't look like Eric's coming back this year. Send me your tapes from San Antonio. I'll get them to the Comcast people, and we'll see if we can get you in here. So the job became available. I got it, and now I moved back home. It was perfect.
Yeah, and Poor G the King in our chat room says, make sure whatever you do, don't fall to sleep while you're up there doing your job.
Man, it's funny, man. Some of the cameramen and some of the people that work for Comcast, like in my little cubicle area, I get like no doze or 5-hour energy and all kinds of crap, man.
I was watching that game. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't believe it until my homie called me. I was like, yo, check on YouTube. Eric Snow fell asleep, and by the time I looked it up, Comcast had took it off.
That's funny because that's not the only rumor that I heard. I heard during a preseason game in Washington, he fell asleep and missed his stop on the train, and he was actually late to a game, and Zoo had to call it like by himself with the cats from Washington. I don't know if that's true or not. That was a rumor I heard.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear about that, but I know Snow was going through a little bit in his personal life last year, so I kind of give him a little leeway with that.
Yeah, he did. So you actually answered my next question a little bit, Malik. I was going to say how when you played, you were kind of looked at as a scrappy, tough, cerebral type player. And, when we listen to you on the Sixers broadcast, your knowledge of the game is evident. So I was going to ask you, what were your future plans surrounding basketball? Like, did you have any coaching aspirations? But you said you kind of want to go into the GM role. But do you have any aspirations to do some coaching? Because sometimes you got to do that first before you.
Yeah, you're right. And my dad told me a long time ago, don't turn nothing down except your collar. So I don't really know what I'm going to do. All I know is I want to win another championship. I want to I missed the game. I didn't want to retire when I did leave the NBA. I just didn't have any offers to play anymore, so I had to retire. But I missed the game, and like that competitiveness, that drive I have in me, it can't be filled with breaking y'all in Madden. So I got to do it on the NBA level.
You took advantage of me. I'm not a gamer. I would get smacked every week.
Iguodala just got named to the All-Star team.
He did?
What do you think? Yeah, that's what I just saw. Just came across on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah. So my question to you is, in terms of their success this season, you're around the team. What do you attribute that success to, like the way they turn everything around?
Yo, it's crazy, man. Like when I was moving back home, I mean, I had heard that you guys finished, well, not you guys. I heard that the Sixers finished strong last year, and I saw the first-round playoff series, and, they competed. But I remember how you guys started last year and, the year that it was. So I was like, I didn't know what to expect from the team coming back home. But I was pleasantly surprised when I first started seeing these guys. That first 5-game road trip, I was just shocked to see how hard these guys play. They play hard every night. They never give up on a game. They never think they're out of it, and they compete. And then to top that off, they share the basketball. They play the right way. They don't have any, pig-headed guys on the team. So it's refreshing, man. It's like good for me. Like, I worked with the Knicks last year, and not to take anything away from them, but sometimes, man, they just give up and they lose. I remember one game they were down. They lost by 51, but at one point they was down 62 points to the Mavericks, and I had to put a positive spin on this, so it made my job crazy hard, man. I'm like, what the hell they want me to say, So it's like, when the Sixers play hard and they compete, they make it exciting. It makes my job easier. So that's what I'm really, I'm most happy with, just how hard they play and them playing the right way.
Now, the fact that they play that hard and, as a team, and it's a lot of, people who know their roles, that kind of reminds you of your days with the Spurs?
Yeah, it does. Like, when I sat in the few practices I watched this year, listening to Doug coach is almost like listening to Popovich. They all they both stress the same things. It's like making the extra pass. It's not about you. It's about the team. Just playing defense, sharing the ball, things like that. It was kind of like it took me back to my practice days in San Antonio. So I'm not surprised that both those teams, we talked about it last game when they played the Spurs. They're so similar, very close in three-point percentage. They're 5th and 6th, respectively, in assists per game. The Sixers were 5th at like 22 assists per game, and the Spurs were like 6th at 21.5 assists per game. So they play the same way. It's just, the Sixers right now don't have a Tony Parker and Tim Duncan.
Right, exactly.
Malik, this is B. I was going to ask, what, as you think back on your Drexel days and then you look at your career, Malik, what are some of the big differences between the college game and the pro game?
The biggest difference I had to adapt to quickly, I wasn't a first rounder, so my days up there were numbered. I had to make the team as a second rounder. But it was just the speed and quickness of the game and then the size of the guys. Like when I played at Drexel in my conference, on most nights, I'd say we had 12 teams, like 6 or 7 of the teams, I was the biggest guy on the floor, so I could kind of dominate. But when I got to the NBA, I was undersized. I'm playing against 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet sometimes, like every night. So I had to use my strengths. My strengths aren't height and, length and all that. I just have, I'm a strong, shorter guy, and I have like a long arms and a quick second jump. That's really what I did. And, I just used that to my ability to frustrate bigger guys. But one thing I'm thankful for with my Drexel days, my coach, Coach Harrion, who's now the head coach at New Hampshire, we went over something every day. It's called the shell, the defensive drill. The defensive shell, we did it every day, and that's where we learned our defensive principles and yada, yada. And when I got to the NBA, I was ahead of most of those guys because I knew the fundamentals of team defense and the shell defense, and that's how I was able to get out on the court because I shined in the shell, which is what I learned at Drexel.
That's a great point because I remember those Lakers and Spurs battles, and I remember they putting you on Shaq. And I'm like, yo, he's way undersized. How strong of an athlete was Shaq when you played against Shaq?
Man, I'm telling you, if I had a half a mountain in my back pocket, I still wouldn't be able to hold him from backing down. It was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. The only thing I can say was when Popovich first told me to go in there and play Shaq, I wasn't scared. I was nervous. I can't front. I'm like, are you serious? But, I was on a non-guaranteed contract, man. I'm trying to stay in the league. So that right there, I was like, well, you got to do it. You got to do it. So I went out there and I just played as hard as I could, and I had some success. I got a couple steals, and I frustrated them because most people, tried to stay behind them or tried to strengthen with them up top. I couldn't strengthen with him up top, so I just stayed down below his waist, and it was to my benefit because he couldn't back me down because I had the lower center of gravity. And then other than that, man, it was just a lot of hustle and heart, and God looked out, and that's how I made a name on defense.
Yeah, I heard you actually talk about that on the broadcast the other night when Kobe was on fire. You were saying how somebody needed to just come out and do something to throw him off his rhythm like you used to do.
Yeah. That's back when I had my attitude after that. After I got my name with Shaq or whatever, I got in a little bit better shape because I stayed in the league a little longer. And you guys remember how the West was, man. The Western Conference was crazy for power forwards. Like, night in and night out, it was, Sheed, it was Dirk, it was McDyess, it was Tim in practice or whatever. It was like every night, Kevin Garnett in Minnesota. So every time I check in the game, coaches, one, they either want to call their number, they start calling ice 4 or 4 down or whatever. And, you know, I'm from Philly. I don't play that, man. You ain't going to sit there and try and embarrass me. So he's like, look, he can call your number if you want. I'm going to foul out or we're going to fight and get thrown out. And so that's the kind of attitude I had to have being undersized to make it. And, you know, that's what I did. But we had this thing called the fire extinguisher, me and Tim, because every time I would check in, like I was the first sub for Dave, and then it would be me and Tim in there, and I would take the scoring forward. And, like, every time I would check in against Dallas, Dirk would be on fire, hit like 5 shots in a row. And I'm like, man, fuck that. Oh, excuse me. I'm like, man, forget that. He ain't about to embarrass me, man. So, my bad. I didn't mean to say that. If y'all get mine, man.
You amongst family. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep it to a minimum, but you can let it. Yeah, you can rap, man.
No, but I ain't gonna curse. But that's how I felt. I was like, man, because if he's scoring me, I'm gonna have to sit down on the bench, and I want to play. So I would go in and just slap him as hard as I could on his forearm, his shooting forearm, every time I checked in. Because he started complaining to the referees and start, yelling and all that. But then I knew I was in his head, and he wasn't making, that 6th shot, that 7th shot, and I got to play. I got to stay in the game.
I got a question for you because you played with Tim Duncan for such a long time. Is that his real personality? Is he really that laid back? Or that's just for the
no? Tim is laid back, but Tim is a clown, man. Tim is like all in the jokes, and you know how like when I'm on the air, I'm quoting movies and stuff. That's really how we are together. We talk like all the time and nothing but movies, and we laugh and joke. He's got a great sense of humor. He's just not really one with the media or whatever. He doesn't like doing all that crap, but he's a real cool guy, real personable.
Yeah, got you. Anyway, before we get you out of here, man, I just want to say I got a quick question because Porgy is in our chat room going in about how you cheating Madden, so I'm just letting you know that. But I ain't gonna front. I'm not gonna front for the world. Malik kicked me out of our Madden League playoffs, and he knocked me out the playoffs. So my question to you is, how can you be a baller and not play 2K, man?
Dude, I used to be nice. I was nice in 2K going back to Sega, like with the Phoenix Suns or whatever. I was nice all the way up until 2008. After the one with KG on the cover, I was nice. So, like, me and my brother used to play it. I would house rules. Was if you down 20, you got to get off the stick. So I'd house rule all of them. But in 2009, man, they made it, like, impossible to dribble past somebody or to pass, and my game got all toe up, and I got frustrated. Just like you said, how can I be a basketball player and not play that game? That's how I felt. I'm like, man, I can see what I want to do, but I can't get it down on the stick. So I'm like, man, I'm sticking with Madden.
Hey, Jimmy, he put you out of the playoffs. He knocked me out of the regular season.
What you did in Madden, man. I'm trying to get you on 2K so I get my revenge, man.
Nah, I'll get back on it, man, but I ain't been nice in that game since 2008, and it's already 2012, so I got to practice before I get on with y'all.
Yeah, no doubt, because we go hard. Anyway, man, I just want to say thanks for coming on with us, man. We appreciate it.
No, man, it was fun. I'm sorry it took so long, but I had a good time, man. We could do it again.
Absolutely, got to do it again.
I'll talk to you, though.
That's what's up.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
Just hit me up whenever, and I'll just see y'all later.